Hi, I hope you're good. Today we're working on setting healthy foundations for our arm balances. So whenever you're ready, you want to make sure that you're nice and warmed up in the wrists and in the shoulders, all nice and loosey-goosey, ready to go. And yeah, let's get ourselves on the mat. So we're going to start off in a laying down position here on our mats. Bring both knees in towards the chest, give them a good squeeze and hug in towards you, and then press the feet down into the floor. So the knees are bent. Palms of the hands on top of the belly, close the eyes. Take a deep inhale through the nose. A long exhale out through the mouth. Shoulders moving away from the ears. Feeling the belly rise and swell on the inhale. And on the exhale, that nice deflation. Whenever you're ready, we're going to climb the feet up towards the sky. Point the toes away and really energize and tone the legs here already. So we've already got the legs engaged. Hands down by the sides of the body or underneath the fleshy parts of the buttocks, but remember palms facing down, pressing into the floor. Now one leg at a time, we're going to slowly lower just the right leg down, let it hover away from the floor, pick it back up again towards the sky, and then switch left leg down. So at some point, we always have both legs up towards the ceiling. We're just alternating the legs. It's as simple as that. Carry on, but you might want things to change where release the hands underneath the buttocks, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, and have the hands either side of the legs, the thighs. So what you want to make sure is the whole time you're doing these is that you're really focusing on pressing your entire spine down into the floor, that you're trying to press your navel down into the floor as well to meet your back and your mat. The legs working here kind of activates the lower core more, and the head, neck, and shoulders being lifted up activates the upper core. But there's nothing wrong with the head being down. You can still feel if you tap the core that the whole thing's working. Okay? Nice job. Whenever you're ready, have a little breather, knees in towards the chest. Sway those knees side to side. Okay, things are going to change. So we're going to have the feet out there in front of us, or feet down, I should say. Hands by the sides of the ears. Now, when we lift the head, neck, and shoulders, we're going to lift the feet off the ground, bring the knees wide, and allow the knees and the elbows to try and meet and tap one another if possible. Then when you lower down, you can bring the feet to come down as well. So that again, lifting everything up, knees to elbows, elbows to knees, and then lower down. So you can stick to that option if you want to, or if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, bring elbows to knees, knees to elbows, and then when the head comes down, extend the legs out there in front of you, let the feet hover away from the floor by a few inches, and then return everything in towards that center line. Okay, let's see, whichever choice you want to do. Whenever you're ready, follow along with me. Nice deep breaths. Remember, you can do kind of, if you want to, 5 of the easier option and 5 of this variation that I'm doing, whatever works for you. But remember to keep the big toes touching together and make sure you're really aware of that back, that we really want to press that entire spine down into the floor. Okay, whenever you're ready, last one. Okay, and knees in towards the chest, head down, and sway the knees side to side. Find your way back to center and take it into a twist, taking both knees over towards your right hand side, turn your gaze over towards the left. I already had a little click there. And then come back up towards the center, over towards the other side, knees towards the left, head turns towards the right. Good, come back up. That core that we just did, roll yourself up to come to a seated position onto all fours, is much needed for the balances that you're going to come into. So we want to make sure that the core is nice and engaged, is switched on. That muscle memory comes into play for when you have a little bit of time up in the air. Okay, once you're on all fours, shoulders above wrists, hips stacked above the knees, push away your yoga mat, tuck the toes, lifting up into downward facing dog. Take a nice walk on the spot with this one. Roll the shoulders away. Good. Lots of breathing. That's it. Really open up through the backs of the legs. Okay, so we're going to be taking left toes up towards the sky into downward dog split. Push away your yoga mat and lift up your right armpit for me so you square off the shoulders. Good. We're going to change sides. Lower that foot down. Other side, right leg. Brush those toes up towards the sky into downward dog split. Reach, reach, reach. Push away the floor, lifting up through that left armpit now. Good. Lower down that foot. We're going to change sides. I lift up into downward dog split with that left leg, but now things change. Lower that left hip down, which results in the left foot being lowered. If I flex my foot, look towards the left toes, you should see the toes pointing directly down. That means you know you're squaring off your hip even more, which is fantastic. Good. And then we're going to change sides. Feels a bit weird. Lifting that right foot up towards the sky, downward dog split. Open up the hip. Now, square off the hip. Lower that right hip down. Look towards those toes. Flex the foot for a moment here. You can see the toes pointing down towards the floor. So your hips and your shoulders are both squared. Good. Lower down. Okay. Now, from here, if you need to come down onto the knees, roll around the wrists, then please do so. So we're going to lift up into downward facing dog once again. Step in with the right foot about halfway is pretty good. Start looking in between the hands. Push away your mat. Lift that left leg up. Don't open your hips. Square your hips just like you did. Bend through the standing leg, your right knee, and then kick up into a little mini kick up here, like you're attempting to come into a handstand. Kick up. I bend through the standing leg. I use the left leg to help me swing and get up into it. Another one. And down. Back into downward facing dog. Good job. Onto the other side. Step halfway in with the left foot. Up with the right foot. Not too open with the hips. Square off the hips. You can still use that right leg to swing you up though. Bend through the standing leg. Kick up. And push back down. Kick up. And down. Look in between the hands. Kick up. And down. Back into downward facing dog. Good job. Take another breath. Come back down onto the knees. Push back into child's pose and roll around the wrists. So remember that setup, keep rolling. That setup is so important. Without it, you're just going to throw yourself into the air, and that's where you can kind of catapult over, potentially injure yourself. We don't want that to happen, okay? So whenever you're ready, up again into that downward facing dog. Step in halfway with that right foot. Left leg lifts up. Square off the hips. Gaze point is in between the thumbs. Bend through the standing leg. Kick up. And again, kick up. Energize the legs. One more. Good. And come down into that downward facing dog. Onto the other side. Halfway. Stepping in with that left foot. Right foot lifting up. Square off the hips. Push away the floor. When I lift up, I'm really pressing the hands deep into that mat. And come down. Nice job. And from here, walk the toes towards the back, coming into plank. Nice. Push from the toes, Chaturanga Dandasana down. Inhale, Cobra Rising. Or maybe an upward facing dog for you. And push back into child's pose. If you want to, sit yourself up into hero pose and roll around the wrists. How did that feel? I find that by squaring off the hips, it means that if the hips are open and you're trying to go up into the air, like, you can catapult over. So by squaring off the hips just helps you so much to stay nice and centered and a lot more in control of your lift. This time we're going to play around with both feet coming off the floor. So we're onto all fours, downward facing dog, okay? Walk the feet in and you should be in Malasana here. So like a froggy style squat. Now, when you're lifting up, you want your ribs to be puffing forwards, puffing forwards, okay? And make sure that we hug the ribs in. So already we've created a nice strong core. The back is in the correct position as well for when we're lifting up, okay? I know it's really hard to think of it once you're down there, but practice a couple of times if you want to, making sure that we're hugging the ribs in. So no cow pose there, yeah? All right, so whenever you're ready, the hands are going to come down. I'm on the balls of the feet. Press the hands into the floor just like you would do with downward dog with plank pose. You're going to lift your bum up and play around with trying to get using that little spring in your step to lift the feet up. So it doesn't matter if it's a small lift, doesn't matter at all. Just as long as you don't kick the heels into the butt. and heavy landing. No heavy landing. Nice light lifts. Press the hands deep into the floor. Shoulders move away from the ears. Gaze point in between the hands or just a few inches further back. Try not to look too far ahead. One more. And relax down.